Drawing hands is hard, but we can make it easier on ourselves by learning the anatomy and sketching ourselves some guidelines with that anatomy in mind. For learning the anatomy, you can check this video. It's not essential, but I will be referring to it a lot. I'll be talking about the guidelines in this part. When drawing complicated things like the human body, we can use guidelines. A simplified version of the thing could be a shape or a form that gives us an idea of the thing's placement, movement, or the shape. An ovally shape for the ribcage, a sphere or a circle for shoulders and knees, simple tubes or just lines for the arms. For most of the body parts, this guideline would be the same for most angles. But for the hand, I like to keep them situational, because I think they're too complicated to be simplified into one simple form or shape. The thing is, for some poses, they could just be simplified into a rectangle. But I feel like this also doesn't work for a lot of other angles. That's kind of why I'm making this video. Anyways, I yapped a lot, but I think I'm gonna be able to make myself a bit more clear with some examples. Let's start off with this simpler pose. I'll talk about more complicated ones as well. The only thing we have to keep in mind when drawing this one is the outward tapering of the base and the arc of the knuckles and the triangular connection part of the thumb. We could just loosely sketch the fingers or use lines for them, since there isn't much perspective in this angle. A front-facing fist. For example, we could just simplify it into a curved rectangle in this angle. So we're looking at the front plane of that said rectangle. Then add the knuckles and fingers. The curve, the tapering outwards, and the slight bump of one of the palm muscles. Fingers are still not in that complex of an angle. Another one where we could get away with a rectangle. We also have to think about the palm muscles though, the one that connects to the thumb specifically. Also, the fingers are now in perspective. These angles where we're looking at the thumb side of the hand were always really complicated for me, since I can't really see any sides or planes to simplify it into a rectangle. I can still work with it though. Think about the top plane and how the thumb connects to the base. You can just use lines for the fingers while keeping the way they curve upwards in mind. Notice how the guideline I drew isn't a very complete or concrete thing. It doesn't have to be, especially for vague angles like this one. You should be using some intuition. It's both easier and also keeps the final product less stiff in my opinion. When drawing poses like this one, it's a good idea to start the ending segment of the fingers first. Another thing that sells them is the plane changes on the joints. Just a small vague line would be enough to indicate them. The top plane, the connection of the thumb, and the upwards curve of the fingers. Also notice how I always indicate this small bump at the pinky side of the wrist. It's just there. I didn't want to talk about it in these videos because I thought it would complicate things. I don't know. Again, with the poses where the fingers touch each other, it's a good idea to start from the end of the fingers. Here, for example, the rectangular form of the base is really prominent. Also the bumps and the fingers. Notice how the sketch I made for myself is really messy. Which is okay, it just needs to give me the information, it doesn't really need to look pretty. A few more examples without the commentary. Anyways, these are gonna be it for this video. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching till then. Have a nice day.